Today, I want to talk about 5 toxic relationships that destroy relationships and what to do instead. If you've ever felt like, something is happening in the relationship, and it may not be that there's a lot of fighting, but maybe you feel disconnected from your partner. Maybe you feel that the two of you aren't close like you used to be, and you are really trying to figure out what is going on. I want to discuss that today. If you're new here, welcome to Heal the New Sexy, where we discuss all things healing and self-love. My name is Cynthia. I am a relationship coach and therapist. So I'm going to jump right in. So the first one is lack of vulnerability. In order to have a healthy relationship, there has to be connection. You have to be vulnerable with your partner. This is sharing your fears. This is sharing your needs, your regrets. This is also sharing your hopes and your dreams. With this sharing, this is the fuel for emotional closeness. Okay. Without it, you remain strangers. If you think about it, in our friendships, especially as women, we desire closeness. And so we are really open to sharing many things with our girlfriends. And when we first date, we feel the same with our partner. We'll share our hopes, we'll share our dreams, we'll share our fears, and he does with us as well. But when he stops being vulnerable, or when you stop being vulnerable in a relationship, it can tear at the foundation of the relationship. So it's really important that you are able to be vulnerable. Now, I understand that vulnerability requires emotional safety, right? You have to feel emotionally safe in a relationship in order to be able to share. Now, this is something I've learned about men specifically. Men, if you injure a man, let's say he tells you something, he tells you about a fear or he tells you about a trauma, and you throw that in his face, he is not going to open up to you again. There's a lot of repair work that has to be done in order for him to feel safe in that relationship. And sometimes men aren't vulnerable with us because we've done something like that to injure them. Okay. So let's talk about why vulnerability destroys a relationship. Vulnerability, when it's not there, can create dysfunction. Okay. The purpose of vulnerability in a relationship is to create regulation. Without it, you and your partner can't co-regulate or feel understood. We want to feel understood in our relationships. We want to feel like somebody gets us. You ever dated somebody you're like, man, I just feel like he gets me. Like he understands me in a way that I've never been understood. It's almost as if I don't have to speak it. It's like he just gets it. That's vulnerability. Okay. I just want you to know that when you aren't vulnerable in your relationship, or when your partner is not vulnerable in your relationship, sometimes it may feel like what's the point? Why am I even here? He's not sharing. Women may say, he's not sharing anything with me. He doesn't talk to me. I don't know what he's thinking. That's because vulnerability has left the relationship. So what you should do instead is that you should practice being vulnerable, okay? Especially if you're the one who knows, I really haven't been vulnerable in this relationship. I've kind of been detaching. Practice vulnerability. Practice sharing how you feel. And not just about the person's behavior, because sometimes we get hyper focused on what they did. You did this, so this is why I did this. You did this, so somebody has to make the decision, especially if if you want to repair the relationship, you have to make the decision to show up differently. Okay. So talk about how you feel with your partner. Talk about your fears with them, and the fear doesn't have to be, it can be about the relationship. Like, I fear that we're drifting apart and I want to know what we can do to get back to how we were, and slow down to listen, to hear them, to hear what they have to say. Okay. The second one is lack of transparency. Transparency has to do with openness about choices, finances, your phone. Who on your phone? Who in your DM? Who over there? Social boundaries and intentions. Okay. We're not being secretive. That's the word I'm looking for, in our relationships and in our marriage. There has to be a level of transparency. Now, there's a difference between privacy and transparency, or being secretive and something is private. I get that. Okay. And people need different levels of privacy, but keeping secrets is a no-no in a relationship or a marriage. Okay. Secrecy or selective omission erodes predictability and dependability. So if you can't be transparent, then your person can't trust you. So we need to be transparent. This erodes away at relationships. Trust is very important. It's a foundational aspect to a relationship. It creates safety. It creates knowing this person has my back. If something were to happen to me, I can call them and I know that he will come and he would help me. But if you're not transparent, you can't build trust. And this is what happens quickly in relationships. People are quick to trust early in relationships, but they're not always transparent. Okay, because we don't want to be judged. So we don't want to uncover ourselves. And that's where vulnerability comes in. When you uncover yourself, you're being vulnerable. And sometimes we don't like feeling vulnerable because we don't like feeling as if someone is going to have something over us. But that's how you build trust in a relationship. Being transparent. This is who I am. This is what's going on with me. This is how my family is. This is where I came from. Those type of things. Okay. So, in order to heal transparency, you're going to have a conversation. You have to be clear for you what it means for your partner to be transparent. And this is the thing. Don't want him to be transparent, but you hide it. And duck it and dodge it. Okay? Both partners have to be transparent in order to feel like you have each other. Relationships require a whole lot of work. And I don't mean work in like heavy lifting work, but there's a level of vulnerability and accessibility that our man has to have to us and vice versa. And if you are not willing to do these things, it's really going to impact your relationship and not in the way that you want it to. Okay. So you have to negotiate what transparency looks like for the two of you, because what you feel is transparent and what he feels is being transparent may be different. Okay. And it doesn't mean that either one of you is wrong. You need to ask questions and be curious. You are dealing with a man. How he grew up, baby, is again very different than how you grew up. Girls, we can overshare sometimes. Men are not raised like that. They are raised to to keep everything internal. You want to explore his mind. You want to know how he feels, and he's like, "Girl, I said I love you." And sometimes there could be limitations. Sometimes he may not be a good communicator as it relates to his feelings. And so you have to understand those things. Okay. And then you need to repair through accountability. So that means, let's say let me think of an example. Let's say as it relates to transparency, you've been shopping. You've been shopping. And you kept them shoes in the car. Because he had said, listen, we got to save money. And you done kept them shoes in the car. And then you slide them shoes and y'all go out one night. He's like, wait a minute, I ain't never seen those shoes before. Oh, baby, what you mean you ain't never seen? Yeah, these shoes I got. Yeah, babe, you got me. You got me. I bought these shoes and I shouldn't have. And now you're going to have to be accountable to him. Okay, no more shoes for 30 days. Okay. All right. Third one, lack of intimacy. Now, I'm not talking about just sexual. I'm talking about emotional intimacy. Intimacy equals emotional closeness plus sexual physical connection plus sexual communication. Low intimacy slowly lowers relationship satisfaction and increases breakup risk. Okay. So intimacy is not just about sex. Intimacy is also about emotional availability and connection. When we don't have that, it can break down the relationship. So, how do we improve this? You want to practice daily, small, intimate rituals, not sex, not more sex. Now, men may say, oh, we need more sex. I want more sex. And a woman is saying, well, I need to talk to you more. I want to feel close to you. Because why you want that closeness? Because you want him to be vulnerable. I want to spend time together. Men and women see intimacy very differently. Women have close, intimate relationship with their girlfriends, with their sisters, with their cousins. Okay. Men are not necessarily taught to see intimacy the same way we do. And I think also men aren't given, and at least in the United States, the ability to have emotionally intimate relationships within their friend groups because of how that may be seen as relates to their masculinity. They may feel less masculine because having those relationships. You look at men's relationship, there are some men that are able to create deep bonds within their friends, and there are others that their relationships are very superficial. Okay. So when you are not satisfied as relates to intimacy, emotional intimacy, physical intimacy, that is going to destroy your relationship. Okay. And we know that with divorces, it's finances or it's intimacy. Okay. But intimacy is not just about physical sex. Sorry if you heard that. It's about closeness. It's about the date nights. It's about the little gifts that show that you were thinking about me. It's about the service of running the shower for me, or running the bath water for me, or I'm sick, you bring me soup, or you make me tea. That creates intimacy, and that's how you repair. You have to go back to doing the small things that you used to. The writing of love notes. Now we may call it, oh, that's romance, but the writing of the love notes, the sending the messages that you're on my mind, the affirmation and validation of there's nobody who can love me the way that you love me. Nobody sees me the way that you see me. I'm so glad that you and I decided to be together. I'm so glad that you and I decided to get married, to have these children. I'm so excited about this life that we're building. That's intimacy. That's speaking to the other person's soul. And if you speak to the person's soul good enough, you're going to be smacking it, flipping it, and rubbing it down. Okay. All right. Number 4, emotional withdrawal is a toxic behavior that destroys relationships. Stonewalling. This is when one partner shuts down, leaves conversations, or goes silent. Now, sometimes people have to take a moment. Everybody is not good at communication. Let me say it like that, right? Everyone's not good at communication. So sometimes one partner or another may need a moment to be introspective and to identify what they're feeling, what they're thinking before they communicate it. Okay. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about someone who's being intentional about stonewalling and keeping you out. A person who's stonewalling doesn't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to be transparent. They're not looking for intimacy. They also may be stonewalling in order to manipulate the situation, especially if you are an anxious, attached girly. Because when he starts stonewalling, you start going into wanting to please him so that he stops doing what he's doing. Did I call you out? Put called out in the comments if I called you out, okay? This is a powerful disconnector. A person who stonewalls, gives you the silent treatment, they are disconnecting from the relationship. And we don't do that. You can't have a healthy relationship with somebody who's intentional about disconnecting. Now, there's a difference between a person who's disconnecting and a person who needs a moment. Don't misinterpret the two. Because a person who needs a moment will say, I need a moment and I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about this. Okay? This is like, it may feel to you like abandonment, and it predicts long-term deterioration as relates to a relationship. Okay? I don't know if you've ever heard of the Gottmans. They've done a lot of research on relationships. And I really feel like we should study relationship the way we study everything else, because relationships require skills and abilities and knowledge. And if you want to have a healthy relationship, it's going to require you studying it. So, because oftentimes as women, we misinterpret men's behavior all the time. We do. We do, because they're different from us. They move differently than we do. But in Gottman's research, they named stonewalling as one of the 4 horsemen predicting divorce. So if he stonewalls with you when you're dating, there's a higher probability that you guys are going to get divorced. So that's something that needs to be addressed. Okay. So let's talk about interventions. You can use timeouts with okay, listen, we will just take a moment and we'll get back together in 20 minutes and we'll talk about this. Some things may take longer. Okay. Everything can't be solved in 20 minutes. I hear sometimes people say, when you get married, never go to bed angry. You need to figure things out. Even if you're staying up 2 o'clock in the morning. Who's staying up 2 o'clock in the morning? Who? Child. Who? We have to be realistic. There are some things you're going to disagree on, and they're going to take a while for you to process and to repair. And as long as the two of you are committed to the process and repairing it, it's okay. But you can use the timeout method depending on what it is, so that you two can cool down, can have a moment to think, and you can come back. Okay? Because sometimes, especially if you grew up dysregulated, you may feel anxious. You may feel like your thoughts are racing because you're triggered. You may be flooded with information. And so you need a moment so that you can regulate. It's okay. Or he may need a moment to regulate, and it's okay. Okay? As long as you're committed to the process and coming back. The fifth and final toxic behavior is contempt, chronic criticism, and disrespect. So contempt, sarcasm, eye rolling, little jokes that are really personal digs, and persistent criticism attack your worth. That's the purpose of them. They attack your worth. You may be feeling, I gave an example, right? Let's say, for instance, as a woman, you get dressed, you're feeling beautiful. You look at your partner, hey, how am I feeling? Oh, it's okay. It's okay. You go out, and then he compliments another woman in front of you. So he criticized me, he picked me apart, and then we go out and you compliment someone else. What does that do to your self-esteem? What does that do to your worth? That's what contempt does. That's what sarcasm does. It's to attack your self-worth. Okay? So this can be lethal. And the Gottmans also did research on this. Gottman identified contempt as the strongest single predictor of divorce. High levels of criticism and contempt escalate conflict and reduce repair attempts, especially if you're an anxious attached girly or you're an avoidant girly. This being a person who's criticizing you, it's not going to go well. You're not going to stay there. For an avoidant, you're going to be quick to leave. Even if it's constructive criticism, you're going to be quick to leave because you fear closeness. But if you're an anxious attached girly, you're going to get into the cycle of, why doesn't he love me? Why am I not good enough? Why can't I please him? Why? And the truth is, for whatever reason, there's some resentment there that he has to address. Okay, so let's stop it. So be specific in what your concerns are with him, especially if you feel contempt. Be specific. Sometimes as women, we can be injured and we don't know how to let that thing go. So we nag, we just because we want him to hurt as much as he's hurt us. You have to be, if you want to stay and repair the relationship, you have to be specific in what the injury was. Okay. You need to build a culture of appreciation. Tell that man how you appreciate him. I love the sacrifices you make for our family. I love how consistent and disciplined you are. I love how you love me and you take care of me. I love how you see me and you listen to me. And even sometimes when I drive you up the wall, you still stay. You hear me. You make me feel important. I appreciate you. And that's verbal appreciation. But physical appreciation, cook that man his favorite meal or order his favorite meal and have it delivered to him and just say thank you. Sometimes as women, there's a level of admiration we want. And I get it. I want to be adored too. But we also have to understand and provide that for our partners as well. That man needs to know that you see him, you love him, and you hear him the same way you want. Okay? It's quick for us to look at these things and be like, yeah, he ain't doing this, he ain't doing this, he ain't doing this. Yeah, but what you doing? Does he feel appreciated? Does he feel seen? Does he feel heard? Are you engaging in contempt? Are you hypercritical of him? Are you hypercritical of that man? Does he feel like there's nothing that he can do right? Okay? So sometimes, like people be like, it's vice versa. It is. Okay, it is. So let's talk about a few practical takeaways. Name the behavior. Whatever you're seeing, name it. In order to address these toxic behaviors, you got to name it. Right? You need to speak to your partner about it. Once you named it, once you figured it out, speak to him about it, but also have a plan. Sometimes we just accuse, but we don't have a plan. Like, this is how I need this addressed. This is how I need this to be fixed. Set micro boundaries. Okay. You know, and with the boundaries, I mean, look at what you can do to repair the relationship. If it's, you know, he's on his phone a lot, he's on social media a lot, then you talk to him like, listen, I need you to limit how much you're on social media so that you can be locked into the relationship or locked in with us and our kids. If it's boundaries around you maybe you just are so into the kids that you focus more on that than him. And so he may say, well, you know, I'm really on this phone all the time because I feel like you're more focused on the children. And I love that you're focused on them. I love how you mother them, but I've lost my girlfriend. I've lost my sweet thing. Okay. So set boundaries, practice vulnerability in microdoses. It doesn't have to be large, but, you know, just sharing your concerns and your fears. Now, this is going to take two people who want the relationship. It's not going to work if one of you wants it and the other one doesn't, and the other one is being resistant. If you see resistance, then you need to think about, is this a place for you, a safe place for you? And if you need to stay in the relationship, okay? And then finally, get help. I am a coach. I am a therapist. If you need help, you can click the link in the bio, but get help if you don't have the tools to repair and move forward, okay? So signs to leave, where there's repeated contempt without attempts to repair. If he's not trying to repair it, forgive me, that's the word, then it may be time to go. Ongoing secrecy and refusal to be transparent. If he doesn't want to be transparent, then it's time to go. You feel chronically unsafe, demeaned, or erased. I'm not even talking about physically, because if it's physical, you need to go. But emotionally, you feel unsafe. Emotionally, you feel like you're not a part of their life. And you try to repair and nothing changes. Okay. I have a question that I want to hear from you down below. Tell me, have any one of these showed up in your relationship? And if so, have you done the repair work, or did it lead to the end of the relationship? Or are you like, it's showing up now, so I'm glad I saw this video. I'm going to hype it up. And I'm going to do the work. I'm going to follow what you said to see if I can repair it. There are some relationships that can be repaired. Long-term relationships require the skill to repair it. Okay. This is Heal the New Sexy. My name is Samithia. If you have a topic that you want me to speak on, put it down below in the comments and I will make a video. Okay.